Hello everyone, good morning. Hope you are all doing well. Today we are going to see the continuation of our first chapter in 10th standard physics, laws of motion. Before getting into the today's topic, do you all remember what we have seen in the last class? Exactly, we have seen what is motion and the types of motion and what causes motion along with Newton's first law of motion. In today's class, we will see Newton's second law and Newton's third law along with the law of conservation of linear momentum. Let's say I have a car. The car has a mass of 100 kilogram. It is moving with the speed of 1 meter per second. On the other hand, the motorbike, it has a mass of 50 kilogram. It is moving at 10 meter per second. Here the car has a mass of 100 kilogram and the bike has a mass of 50 kilogram. Here the car is moving at 1 meter per second and the bike is moving at 10 meter per second. Here both the car and the bike, they are about to collide. In order to save the day, I need to put an effort to stop any one of this vehicle. Which vehicle is difficult to stop? What do you think? Exactly. From the mass of the two vehicles, we can say the car has heavier mass. So, it is difficult to stop the car compared to that of a bike. For example, if I am throwing a shot put ball and a ping pong ball at you, which ball requires the much more effort to stop? Exactly, the shot put ball, which is heavier, which has more mass, requires more effort to stop compared to this ping pong ball which has less mass. And on the other side, if you are seeing the bike is moving at 10 meter per second. Compared to the car is moving at 1 meter per second. Here the bike is moving at the high velocity. For example, if I am firing a bullet from the gun, even though the bullet has very less mass, it is moving at greater speed. It is very difficult to stop such object which is moving at greater speed. Here the bike is moving with such great velocity. So, even if it is very difficult to stop that bike. So, the effort required to stop the object depends both on the mass of the object and the velocity of an object. Here we are introducing a new term, that is a new physical quantity called linear momentum. So, I can write the momentum as a product of mass times the velocity. So, linear momentum is a product of mass into velocity and it is represented by the symbol P. Since the symbol M is already given for the mass, so here the linear momentum is represented by the symbol P. And what is linear momentum? Linear momentum is the product of mass times the velocity. Next we will see, if the velocity of an object, is 0, what happens to the linear momentum? Here the linear momentum is also 0 in this case, because linear momentum is nothing but the mass in motion. If the velocity is 0, the object is not moving at all. It is fixed place, it is at fixed position. So, here the linear momentum of an object is 0. And what if the mass is 0? Is there any object which has 0 mass? So, it is hard to imagine. So, the mass of the object will not be 0. So, in that case, we will be taking the mass which is very, very small. For example, if I am throwing this chalk piece at you, this chalk piece has a very less mass compared to a body weight. If I am throwing this chalk piece at you, it is very easy to stop this chalk piece. That is, the effort we put to stop this chalk piece is very less. So, when the mass of an object is small, the linear momentum is less in this case. So, what we have seen, if the velocity of the object is 0, the linear momentum is 0 in that case. If the mass is small, depending on the mass, the linear momentum is also small. And what if the mass and velocity of an object is large? For example, there is a freight train, the mass of the train is 1 ton and it is moving with a velocity of 150 km per hour. In that case, the momentum of the train is super high in this case. If an object has much large momentum, it is very difficult to stop that object. So, in order to stop this object, the force, the effort we need to put is much large. Now, we have seen the linear momentum. What is linear momentum here? Linear momentum, it is the product of mass into velocity. Now, we will see how to write the unit of momentum. To write the unit of momentum, what is the SI unit of mass? It is kilogram. What is the SI unit of velocity? It is meter per second. So, the unit of linear momentum is kilogram meter per second. Next, we are going to see Newton's second law. See, the object is initially at rest. In order to change the state of this object, I need to apply a force. So, by applying the force, the state of an object is also changing. If you see it, the force applied, it changes the speed of the object. So, I can tell the change in velocity of this object is directly proportional to the force I applied. So, from the formula of linear momentum, I can say this change in velocity is changing the momentum of an object. So, from this I can write change in momentum is directly proportional to the external force applied. And how long this momentum changes in an object? Till the time the force is applied. So, I can write the change in momentum is directly proportional to the time the force is applied. From this too, I can write this change in momentum is directly proportional to force into time. By modifying this statement, I can give it as the change in momentum by time is directly proportional to the force applied. So, this is Newton's second law. What is Newton's second law? It states that rate of change of linear momentum is directly proportional to the force acting on a body. What is Newton's second law here? The rate of change of the momentum is directly proportional to the force applied on an object. And this rate of change of momentum, it always acts in the direction by which the force is applied. So, Newton's second law, once again I am telling, the Newton's second law states that the rate of change of linear momentum is directly proportional to the force, and this change in momentum takes place in the direction of the force applied. Now, consider a body. The body has mass m. It is moving with the initial velocity u. When the force is applied over a time t, the velocity of an object changes. So, the final velocity here is v. So, initially the object of mass m is moving with the initial velocity u. Over a time t, the force is applied. So, it is moving with the final velocity of v. So, for the initial velocity, we can write the initial momentum What is the momentum symbol? It is P. For initial, I am writing it as Pi. The initial momentum is mass into initial velocity. What is the final momentum? Final momentum Pf is equal to mass into final velocity is V. So the initial momentum Pa is equal to mass into initial velocity and the final momentum Pf is equal to mass into final velocity. Now we have to find the change in momentum. What is change in momentum here? Change in momentum. Change in momentum is nothing but the difference of final momentum minus initial momentum. The final momentum here is mass m into v and the initial momentum here is m into u. Now substituting this value of change in momentum in this formula, what I will be getting? Force is directly proportional to change in momentum by time. By taking a value of m, which is common in both the cases, outside I will be getting v minus u by t. If you are considering this symbols, what is giving? It is the change in velocity over the time. What is change in velocity over the time? This is the acceleration. So acceleration is nothing but a change in velocity by time. So instead of this, I can give it as m into a. Here we have the proportional symbol. If I want to remove this proportional symbol, I want to include a constant. Here the constant I am including is k, which is a constant of proportionality. If I am considering the value of k as 1, I will be getting F is equal to ma. That is the force applied on the body, which is equal to mass into acceleration. From Newton's second law, we just got force is equal to mass times the acceleration. Or I can rewrite this formula as acceleration is equal to the force divided by mass. From this I can tell if the acceleration of an object is more, the mass of an object should be less. Or what if I want to get the acceleration, more acceleration? The force applied should be more in this case. For example, here is pulling a wagon. Here the mass of the wagon is comparatively less. Here if we want to apply a force in order to accelerate this wagon. What if the wagon has more mass? We need to apply more force in order to pull this wagon at higher rate. The same, here the mass of an object is comparatively low. If I am applying a force, since the mass is very low, it moves, it accelerates at higher rate. Here the mass of an object is much large compared to this. When applying a force compared to this acceleration, it accelerates at very less rate. Next we are going to see Newton's third law. What is Newton's third law? We all know Newton's third law. For every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. That is Newton's third law. For example, I have an object A. This is exerting a force on an object B. In turn, the object B, it will exert an equal force on the object A. Here, both the magnitude of the forces will be same, but the direction of the forces will be opposite in this case. What is Newton's third law here? For every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. Now we are going to see the examples of Newton's third law. See, I have a ball. I am going to hit this ball with a floor. Here the ball exerts a force on the floor. In turn, the floor exerts an equal force on the ball. Since the direction of the force is opposite, the ball bounces back here. The other example is, have you ever noticed the bird flying in the sky? Here the bird, it pushes the air downward. This is the action force. In turn, the air, it pushes the bird in the upward direction. This is a reaction force. So for every action, there will be an equal and opposite reaction. There is another example. See, what is this? This is a balloon. Here, if the air comes out, This is the action force. Because of this action force, the balloon, it goes up. This is the reaction force. So I can tell this example by this balloon. See here. Now in the example of this balloon, we have seen because of the force of the air comes out of the balloon, here the balloon goes up. So we have seen Newton's third law. Next we are going to see the law of conservation of linear momentum. For this, see, initially the object is at rest. The object 2 which is at rest and object 1 which is moving at certain speed. When this object 1 which is moving at certain speed, it collides with the object 2 at rest. The object 2 which is at rest, because of the unbalanced force exerted by the object 1 which tends to move with certain velocity. And now what happens to the object 1? Here the velocity of an object 1 reduces. Now what we have seen, the object 2, it is initially at rest. The object 1 which is moving at certain speed, it collides with an object 2. After collision, because of the force exerted by the object 1 on the object 2, the object 2 tends to move with certain velocity, but the velocity of a object 1 reduces. Why the velocity of the object 1 reduces? It is because of the force which is exerted by a object 2 which is at rest. Why the velocity reduces? Because the force exerted by the object 2 which is equal in magnitude, but the direction of the force in this case is opposite. So here Newton's third law comes into action. See, here this is the object 1 which has a mass m1 and this is the object 2 which has a mass m2. Initially the object 2 which is at rest and the object 1 which is moving with a certain velocity. I can take this velocity as u1. Now at a time both the objects, they collide. Because of this collision, they move with a final velocity, that is a v1 and v2. Here what we have seen, the object 1 which is moving at higher speed, it tends to reduce its speed because of the force exerted by the object 2. So here according to Newton's third law, I can say the force exerted by the first object on the second object which is equal to the force exerted by the second object on the first object. But the direction of the force in this case is opposite. So I can tell both the forces are equal but they are opposite in direction. Now we want to find the force of first object on second object. Here the force exerted by a moving body to a body at rest which is equal to the rate of change of momentum of the second object. Why? Because when the first object exerts a force on the second object, the motion of a second object is changing here. So from second law what we know? The force is directly proportional to a rate of change of linear momentum. Here I will be taking a rate of change of momentum of the second object. What is the rate of change of momentum of a second object? So mass of a second object into the final velocity of an object minus mass of the second object into the initial velocity of an object divided by time. What is the force exerted by the second object on the first object? The force exerted by the second object on the first object, which is equal to the rate of change of momentum of the first object. What is the rate of change of momentum of the first object? Mass of the first object into the final velocity of an object minus mass of a first object minus into initial velocity of an object divided by time. So now we have found the force in this two case. The force applied on the first object to the second object equal to the rate of change of momentum of the second object. The force applied by the second object on the first object, which is equal to the rate of change of momentum of the first object. Applying these two value of forces in this formula, what I will be getting? F12, which is equal to m2 into v2 minus m2 into u2 divided by time, which is equal to, and here I have minus sign, and what is F21 here? m1 v1 minus m1 u1 divided by time. Now I will solve this using a simple mathematical method. Here the t is present on both sides, so it is getting cancelled. Now I will write the formula m2 v2 minus m2 u2, which is equal to, when I am taking this minus sign inside, I will be getting m1 v1 plus m1 u1. When I am taking all the u and v on same side, I will be getting m1 v1 plus m2 v2 is equal to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. So this is the proof for law of conservation of linear momentum. What it is stating, that is the sum of a momentum, after collision. Why it is after collision? Because this is final velocity, the sum of a momentum after collision, which is equal to the sum of a momentum before collision. What is law of linear momentum states? The sum of a momentum after collision, which is equal to sum of a momentum before collision. And what is the condition necessary here? In the absence of external forces. Here I am not considering any forces other than the force exerted by a first object on the second object and the second object on the first object. I am neglecting all the other external forces here. So in the absence of external forces, the sum of a momentum after collision, which is equal to sum of a momentum before collision. So this is a law of conservation of linear momentum. So far in today's class, we have seen the new term, what is linear momentum, and Newton's second law and Newton's third law, along with law of conservation of linear momentum. Thank you.